Welcome back to Port Elizabeth, the beautiful city. This is part 46. So this is the corner of Fordyce Road and 8th Avenue, Walmer. I wasn't sure of many of the buildings' historic worth in Walmer, but I did know that churches are always kind of reflective of eras of development. So I stopped at this one on the corner with Fordyce. But just gazing up and down Fordyce Road, so from my childhood, when I used to visit my grandparents at 70 Fordyce Road, and as a kid, I used to think they were saying 74 Dice Road. Anyway, 74 Dice Road, and that was the view one way, and that was the view the other. So for a little kid who's never seen such a long straight road in a city, this was left quite an impact, I have to say. And we always knew that at the end of one of these directions, you could buy soft served ice creams. I think that was in 8th Avenue, that shopping complex. So you used to get soft serve ice creams there, and it was, of course, a wonderful outing. But this was the church, and I think this was where my uncle was cremated back in the late 80s. Half uncle, really. My father's his mother died at birth, so my grandfather remarried and had further children, and this was one of them who was buried here, or the service was here anyway. But I've forgotten what it is, so we're going to have to try to find out. It looks like St. Bernadette's. Is that a female saint? Looks kind of Greek. Could be wrong. Don't know why I haven't put anything here. Yeah, St. Bernadette's power cometh from Eskom. And the church hall nearby. Anyway, houses on the corner there are attractive. Settlers Park Primary with interesting gables. And the view down towards the Baakens. And this was where my wife lived before, when I met her. And across the road from the school, I think you'll see where my grandfather, 74 Dice, was that house in the middle there. So he started the observatory in Mill Park, but we'll get onto that later. So I remember this from my youth when we visited the old grandparents, and across the road was Settlers Primary, lovely gables and quite a historic looking building. Now looking pretty run down, fence fallen to bits. Now we're on the corner of 4th Avenue and Villiers, and another spire. Big houses nearby. So now we see the Dutch Reformed churches. Opened in 1950. Not the most aesthetically pleasing building, I have to say. whereas Cape Dutch revival with these gables is far more pleasing. And in Villiers Road, there was this quite attractive building. And another church here in Heeg Road, between 3rd and 2nd Avenues. Now, this was quite an interesting one. Reminiscent of that one we saw near the town hall is this design here. So it says here, Presbyterian Church, 1929, eh? St. Andrews, so yeah, that makes sense. It's a lovely entrance. That says 1953. I don't know if that's, it says when the stone was laid, so maybe it's quite recent. And then another church near the bottom of Villiers Road on the corner of First Avenue. That's the Neisner, not an attractive building right on the edge of the valley. So what would this be, Art Deco? Probably quite impressive design. St. Saviour's Anglican. And clearly some biblical reference here. It always used to confuse me when in Sunday school they said, "Suffer the little children to come unto me." And I couldn't imagine why you'd want the children to suffer. So then this is First Avenue. Now, if you can imagine that south end was to the right-hand side of this. These houses we're going to see now might have been very similar to what was in Southend. In fact, they were. I mean, this is typical of those early houses. That's the harbour in the distance. think I've done a few sketches of this in my time. Sewage pipes and flowers. Here's that quarry where I think they got stone for original work, like maybe even Fort Frederick, which you can see there. Oh yeah, so this is Settlers Park. You can see just the river wends its way through the park. Yeah, I've tried to zoom in with my El Cheapo camera. And yeah, here's that quarry. It's Fort Frederick, the harbour. So when this river comes down in flood, you can't really see the river, but it's in this vegetation here. Tiny stream at this point. When it comes down in flood, it's right up, covers everything here. This is just floodplain, really. Exotic, I think, are these things. Heading back towards First. And Villiers Road. Yeah, so this is the main area I visited around the Walmer Town Hall, which we saw in the first one. Now, where is that? Oh, here. So, yeah, in the previous video, we visited Walmer Town Hall here. And these are the bowling greens next to it, and then the church was up here somewhere. And then the Walmer Gardens Hotel was, maybe get it on a separate one. Anyway, this is First Avenue here. I think, yeah. Was it here? Sorry. Down this side. Yeah, and that church was here, I think. Yeah, so there's a row of older buildings over there. Church there, and I think this is that tower block, the Neisner. And here's Settlers School. So this is 70 Fordyce around here. Yeah, so I think I do another couple of places in Walmer, but for now, cheers.